Hi, here's a disclaimer. What you're about to witness is the strength of street knowledge. Just kidding, that's for another day. What you're about to hear is awesome, and the results are surprisingly stupendous. Rally up your rodents because today we're adding a dash of IR to the EYE. Do you feel like you're missing something in your life? Does it sound appealing to extend your visual spectrum beyond the minuscule range which our eyes can observe? Are you afraid of needles? Well, have I got an episode in store for you. Bursting down the doors of innovation, Taiyan Zhu of the University of Science and Technology of China and Gang Han, a biochemist from the University of Massachusetts Medical School, have brought us a bit of biotech that's taking a strong stride for many new creative breakthroughs regarding our bodies and nanotechnology. So here's the tech for you. There's a device called a nanoparticle which is capable of attaching itself to the rods and cones in the back of the retina. Electromagnetic radiation, or photons, pass through the eye and hit the nanoparticle. The rare earth metal that the device is made of causes the photons hitting its atoms to be absorbed more slowly, which builds up a high energy and shortens the wavelengths of light. The nanoparticle then emits visible light, allowing the rods and cones to detect near-infrared light. An experiment was done with mice where, remarkably, the results presented flying colors. Alright, so we just went over a lot. Let's break it all down. The device is very small. It's just about 6 micrometers in length. For reference, in a single inch, there are 1 million microinches. Great, more vocabulary. In a single microinch, there are 39.37 micrometers. The device is only 6 micrometers. Wow. Break time. So, here's some cool statistics to put in perspective just how large of a number 1 million is. Do you know what's about 1 million inches tall? Maybe the Burj Khalifa? Maybe Mount Everest? No. Mount Everest is way smaller, standing at less than 350,000 inches tall, and the Burj Khalifa is less than 33,000 inches tall, which means to get to 1 million inches, you would need to pile about 30.5 Burj Khalifas one on top of another to get there. Back to the biotech. How did the device get into the eyes of our furry friends? It's not so pleasing, but you'll be happy to hear that no mice maintained any lasting injuries from the experiment. The nanoparticle gets injected into the eyes of the mice by a scary needle. What happens next? Well, the biotech is covered in a protein called concanavalin A, or Con-A, which is a mitogenic lectin. All that means is that this protein can stimulate or induce mitosis in cells, in other words, cell division. It can be found naturally in Canavalin ensifermis. Oh, you don't know what that is? Well, I didn't either. But it's the common jack bean. Con-A acts as a fantastic agent to bind the bite-sized device to sugar molecules on the membrane of photoreceptor cells, which are the rods and cones in the back of the retina. Their job is to convert light into electrical signals that get sent through the optic nerve to the visual part of the brain. So, what's our little guy made of? Well, there's a couple rare earth metals known as ytterbium and erbium. Gang Han explains it as so. Ytterbium absorbs the light, then transfers that energy into a nearby erbium atom, which emits a green light. Ytterbium is able to lengthen the interaction of photons in the atoms of its material, in some cases to nearly 1/1000th of a second, but more often than not you'll see results lean in the 1/1,000,000th of a second area. This time just represents how long it takes a photon to get absorbed by the metal. Of course, these are still very short durations, but we're comparing it to non-rare earth metals where absorption can occur as quickly as 1/1,000,000,000th of a second. The longer a photon takes to get absorbed, the more energy will be created when the collisions continue. Basically, from the absorption, higher energy electromagnetic radiation is released in a way that our photoreceptors can recognize. It might be sciencey and complicated, but it's pretty interesting. The eyes of the mice on their own, as well as ours, are just not sensitive enough to pick up infrared light. There's just not enough energy going on to excite our rods and cones, but this recent breakthrough has certainly paved a fiery path for this topic. A quick side note, since we mentioned boundaries of the visible light spectrum. While IR light is on one side, UV light is on the other. Our eyes don't even want ultraviolet rays in them. In fact, a lovely skill our corneas and lenses have is the ability to filter out a great deal of UV radiation our eye encounters. The photoreceptor cells pick up the green light given off by the nanoparticle from the converted infrared light and allow the user to see beyond what they would normally be able to see, where green represents the IR light. Humans and most mice can only see electromagnetic wavelengths from about 380 nanometers to 740 nanometers. Check out this video where I talk more about it. But with this visual extension, the mice were able to pick up all the way to about 1000 nanometers. Plus, the mice experienced no trouble with their normal vision, meaning the nanoparticle only served as an addition to their sight, which granted them this heightened sense for nearly 10 weeks. An article posted to extremetech.com written by Ryan Whitman points out a minor but temporary side effect where a few of the mice had to deal with slight corneal clouding, but on the bright side, the issue resolved itself. To quickly go over what corneal clouding is, we have to understand a bit about the cornea. According to medlineplus.gov, when a cornea is clear, it's easier to focus the light entering your eye. With clouding in your cornea, it not only loses transparency, but depending on the severity of the condition, you may also experience varying amounts of vision loss. So, how do we know if the test was successful though? It's not like we can ask the mice what they're seeing. Well, to begin, the researchers ran a test where the mice needed to swim to a platform illuminated only by IR light. The mice given the injection showed consistently positive results. But maybe you're still not convinced. Well, the mice who had these nanoscale devices attached to their photoreceptor cells reacted accordingly when an IR light was shined into their eyes. To put it simply, their pupils contracted. If their eyes were unable to pick up the light, this wouldn't occur. So why exactly do we want to be able to see in infrared light? What's the point of all this? Well, Gang Han imagines that with the proper testing, humans might be able to utilize this as a sort of built-in night vision. The only problem so far is that you would need help from an external IR light. As Han mentions, there is not enough ambient infrared light at night for these nanoparticles to create a really coherent image. Another hope for the future is that this device will be able to help activate light-sensitive drugs, as well as bring us one step closer to understanding how to combat gradual vision loss. Robert F. Service of sciencemag.org discusses the application of this biotech and how it's possible to not only capture light, but to re-emit it back out. But you most likely won't be getting your hands on a visible spectrum stretcher anytime soon. The Food and Drug Administration would have to approve the devices for us to get them. Not only that, but primate testing would have to go on for most likely many years just so we can be certain. There's also the need to consider how many people would even be willing to get an injection in their eyes every 10 weeks, even if it is for something so cool. There are other reasons to hold off on this one for at least a little bit longer because I haven't heard any word on expenses and the material isn't yet quite as efficient as we'd like it to be. Although the waters are rough right now, thorough testing and further research may prove that this battle-ready biotech could be essential for learning more about our biology, as well as helping us fight eye-related illnesses where we've hit a brick wall with. I don't know about you, but I want to see Zach Bagans lead a team of ghost hunting mice in the near future. I haven't heard anyone mention that one yet, so let's make it happen, guys, and I'd love an invite. Know that the most powerful tool for learning is interest. Let me know what piques your curiosity. Maybe I'll make a video about it. And thanks for watching.